eBay ninjas, redistribution specialists, or whatever you call yourselves. This is episode 156 of eBay the Right Way. I am your hostess, Suzanne A. Wells. Today's date is March 13th, and my guest is Lindsay in North Carolina. Announcements. I am continuing to overcome the challenges of living in a rural area and running an online business, most notably changing from satellite internet to something faster and more powerful. We are slowly but surely getting our ducks in a row. I'll be explaining more about this transition on a new playlist on my YouTube channel. I've been taking photos and videos of the homestead and the whole house remodel to share with you. I won't be starting a new channel, just a new playlist section on the existing one. So you can watch those videos if you are interested, or skip them if you're not. No pressure. Thank you so much for your patience during this rather chaotic time. I also wanted to update you on what's happening in the premium library. The last update was in November, and I continue to keep my commitment of adding new content every week. This year will be the 6th anniversary of the premium library. I started it back in 2018. Here is a quick rundown of what has been added over the last 4 months. The jewelry course is rolling along. There are 3 new videos, so about 45 minutes in total, that explain the maker, hallmarks, backstories, and selling prices, along with photos of the pieces by specific makers. There are new keyword lessons. There are now a total of 38 videos of keyword lessons with 6.5 hours of content. So if you join for no other reason, these keyword lessons are invaluable, as you may not have the words buyers are searching for on your listings. And you can update your listings immediately, and you could see instant results. Remember, using the buyer's terminology is crucial for search placement, which leads to views, which ultimately leads to sales. There are 5 new bulletins, which are me on camera, like a news reporter, giving you current information about the eBay world, and usually a BOLO, item to be on the lookout for, that I have recently learned. One thing about eBay is there are many moving parts, and if you're not on social media very often, you may not know about some of the changes or things that are happening in the eBay world. I've added another installment of the artist course and will continue to build on that. I've also been building a course for vintage clothing, so that will continue to grow in 2024 as I'm interested in learning more about this category. There are 2 more lessons in the collectibles course, again adding as my own knowledge grows in that area. As of March 8th, 2024, the library contains 567 videos and 135 hours of education. All the content is up to date, and no content is older than 6 months. Most of the information is evergreen, meaning it will always be true, so you won't be wasting your time learning about fads, hype, or information that will be useless in the future. So those are just a few highlights. The information for a free trial to the premium library is below the podcast. You can come, take the free trial for 30 days. You can download anything you want and keep it forever. And if you find it's not for you, no pressure. You won't hear a word from me. I don't want anybody joining that doesn't love it and want to continue to learn. Okay, last thing is the 2024 BOLO book is just about ready. We had an unexpected delay at the printer, but things are now moving again, so stay tuned for the official announcement on that. Okay, now let's meet Lindsay.
Hey, listeners, welcome back. Today I have Lindsay, who is a friend of Eileen, the book lady. So now we are getting friends of guests on the show, which is wonderful. So, how are you doing this morning, Lindsay?
I'm doing well. Hope you are.
Good. And you are part of a eBaying couple. Your
Yes,
other half is Chad. So if you watch the Money Making Mondays and Supersized Sales, I think the Facebook account is in his name.
it is. It's under
And
Chad Cox. I don't have a Facebook anymore, and I use his for things like this.
okay,
Uh, and likewise, I do lots of public speaking and things, and he is absolutely terrified of those things. So he's not with us today on the podcast because
that's
he
fine. That's
he,
fine.
he
No, I
doesn't
just
like that
wanted,
kind of thing. Yeah,
sometimes listeners will try to find you on the Facebook
yeah,
group and usually put
yeah.
your name at the end of whatever you're posting.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And we are definitely a team. So
good, good. Well, we're going to hear more about that. So, we usually start with where you live, what city, state you live in.
yeah, I am located in the Piedmont area of North Carolina, so like High Point, Greensboro, Winston-Salem
Hey,
area.
okay, okay. I've got connections to North Carolina.
I've been
Uh,
here for 46 years. We love to
really?
travel, so we go lots of places, but I doubt we will ever move away.
Yeah. Okay. What airport is closest to you?
PTI, it's Piedmont Triad International in Greensboro, but
Okay.
Charlotte is only about an hour from us south. So,
I flew out of Charlotte last weekend.
okay,
It's about an hour and a half from Greenville, but it's
okay.
so easy.
So,
And
are
I'm
you near
not,
Greenville?
I'm in Greenville, South Carolina. And so,
So my middle
um,
daughter is a Shriners kid, and we've spent lots and lots of time in Greenville because of the Shriners Hospital there.
oh, really? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Great.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm only here until March 3rd, and then I'm going to Illinois.
I heard about your when I was listening to Eileen's podcast, I heard about your exciting news. So that's really
Yes,
awesome.
yes. So I'm very excited and packing every day. Went for a visit last week. Um, but we're kind of people in Greenville kind of either go to Atlanta to fly out or Charlotte, and Atlanta is a hard no.
Yeah, same.
It's too many years dealing with that airport. So anyway, but good to hear that you're in North Carolina. Now I graduated from Queens College in Charlotte.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's fun to have those connections.
Yeah. I'm a UNCG graduate, University of North
Okay.
Carolina at Greensboro. Yeah.
Okay. And then my niece just graduated from I guess it's UNC at Wilmington.
Hmm.
Yeah. So good. We
Good
have some
school too. We have
connections
we
there.
have really good universities here in North Carolina.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So okay, well, we got that nailed down. Next is how did you get involved in eBay and when was that?
So, to go back to our dear friend Eileen, the book lady, she's the one that got me into it. And gosh, I loosely got involved doing what I'm doing now about 5 years ago. If we want to back up real far, my oldest daughter is 23, and I sold some of her clothes on eBay way back when, but that was just to make a little money. It was never a business thing for me. And then I kind of walked away from eBay for many years. And then life got kind of interesting over here. Eileen and I we both freelanced in the same industry, and we just became good friends despite the geographic distance between her and
Hmm.
me. Um, and when life got hard, she just kind of said, this might be a good little income avenue for you. And Eileen and I get together again, even though we live not in the same state, we get together about once a year, maybe sometimes twice a year, and see each other. And so she showed me the ropes. She took me to some book sales and thrift shops and all that. And I got started. I got started really slow, but now it is not quite a full-time job, but it is more than a small part-time job. Let's put it that way. And I'm hoping to continue to grow it, especially now that my kids are getting older and I'd like to retire someday.
So how long ago was that? Maybe 5 years?
Probably about 5 years.
Okay.
And we'll probably talk about this going forward, but my oldest daughter had a stroke in 2017, so she was 16 years old. Yeah, it was life altering. And so I was really mired down with caregiving and unable to do the freelance writing and things I had done for so many years. And so it took a couple years to get her out of the critical phase. So I would say about 2020 is when I really got started good with
Hmm.
saying, I'm an eBay reseller. Here is my business, might
Hmm.
have had 50 items to start with or less even, and then it just grew.
So your daughter, are you still caring for her now?
Yes and no. She's still at home and she will always have medical management, as we call it. And so she is doing much better. She's made great strides and had a good recovery with lots of therapy and medications and things like
Hmm.
that. But yeah, I still am caregiving, but it is way less than it used to be. And then to add some, not fun, but I don't know a better word here to the story, I have two other children, and they are 21 and 20. And they were born with a very rare disease that my husband and I carry. We did not know we carried it. They are two of about 25 that we know of in the entire world.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Van Mautergem syndrome. And if you've never heard of it, don't be surprised because no one has. And so they were born with health challenges from day one. But my oldest was my healthy child, quote unquote. And so when she fell ill, and she does not have the syndrome, I suddenly was a caregiver and an acute caregiver in some ways to three teenagers. So again, life got crazy here. And we had medical debt like you wouldn't believe. And so between my husband working full time, it just wasn't quite enough. And so the eBay, income, even if it was small at first, was an excellent, supplementary income for us.
Yes, I can see that. And with your freelance writing, that takes focus and concentration.
Yes. And I
Um,
could not do that and
no, I
care.
can see how you just can't continue with that because your mind is in 100 other places, and
Exactly.
that would have been tough. But yeah, good for you for picking up eBay and
I was really nervous at first. I just didn't think I could do
yeah.
it. And I will say, uh, not to butter you up, Suzanne, but Eileen sent me to your courses,
Oh,
and
great. Yes.
yeah, and I jumped in there and I kind of devoured as much as I could during my free trial. I would actually
Right.
get up really early in the morning because I'm an early riser anyway. My husband goes to work at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Oh,
and I would get my coffee and I would watch a couple videos and learn how to do some things that had no clue how to do. So
oh,
yeah,
I'm
that's
glad that was
yeah,
helpful.
you
Good.
helped me and you didn't even know it.
Well, thank you for that feedback because you're right. Sometimes I don't know.
Right,
And I
exactly.
always say in my
Absolutely.
videos, leave a comment, email me, let me know if this is helping you, because without
Yeah,
feedback, you don't know.
yeah,
And I don't
yeah.
want to be
It
putting a
was,
bunch of stuff out there that isn't helpful.
yeah, no, I can't think of one video that you had up that I didn't find helpful.
Oh, great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. So
Good.
absolutely. I think it's a great place for people to get started.
Okay. Well, you have a lot on your plate, and eBay is just one of those things, which is why I wanted to have you on, because you do juggle so much. And I understand that crushing medical debt. It's just,
Mm,
um, I know a lady who bought some stuff from Facebook Marketplace, and she
mhm,
came to pick them up. And um, she was telling me how she had just gotten over brain cancer and all
mm.
her medical debt and stuff. And she's like, I've just accepted. I'm always going to have it for the rest of my life, but I do have the rest of my life. So
Exactly. That's an excellent point.
it
Yeah.
was just, I was like, oh my gosh, that's just crushing. How do you handle that? And she's like, you don't know how you're going to handle things until you're in that situation.
You don't. And here's the crazy thing. We actually have very good insurance. My husband works for a unionized company, so we have, a Cadillac plan, so to speak. But when you are using it all the time, times three people, I mean, it's nothing for our insurance to pay out $1 million a year in claims. for
Mm-hmm.
us. And so our co-pays, our out of pockets deductibles, and then the things that, insurance doesn't cover, it just stacks up year after year. And I always dread January the 1st because it's the new deductible year.
Oh, it starts over.
Yes,
Right.
it's not because we always meet our out of pocket max at some point in the year. And it's like I dread January 1 to come around again.
Oh, yeah, it starts over. Right.
Yep.
Um, and I can take this question out if you
No,
don't
it's
want
fine.
it in there, but have you ever done a GoFundMe?
We have in the past. We had a really cool event. Some people in our community got together. We needed to adapt our van to work with my daughter's power chair,
Mm-hmm.
and it did not work. And we had to, we had to be able to take her places, and that is very expensive to do. And so, some folks in our community that we really didn't know that well came together and had a polar plunge for us in the middle of like January, February, I can't remember, and people raised money and we went over to this guy's house and he has a pool and the people jumped in the pool like you would a polar plunge and people sponsored them, people donated money and it was enough money to adapt my van. So we've had things like that happen. A lot of really generous people step in and bless us like completely unexpectedly. And the really cool thing for me with that is it was mostly the people I either didn't know or expect that
Mm-hmm.
were the givers, and that really warmed my heart to see people just, do things for sometimes a stranger.
That's wonderful. That is so,
Mhm.
that just makes you trust the process. And
Yes.
my sister went through something similar when her husband got sick. And they have an organization, she's in Charlotte, something
Mhm.
like Hearts and Hands or something like that, where they come build things.
Uh-huh.
And they just reached out to her and said, we hear your husband's in a wheelchair and your home is not accessible. And a bunch of guys came one day, took off her deck in the back and put on a like a ramp that
Yeah.
went down and had a turn. So it was a very gradual incline, and put that ramp on there. And it was funny because some of her neighbors said, "Oh, don't let them do that because you'll never be able to sell your
Or your
house."
house. We were
And
told the
but
same
then she
thing.
was like, "No, it probably increase the value because if it is someone who is in a wheelchair, this will already be there for them." But
Yes.
they did it completely free, and just things like that kept popping up for her. So, um, and people want to help.
Absolutely. And through all this, I have learned to work my resources, so to speak. I think that comes from my freelancing, my editor brain. I know how to search for information, and we've been able to pull together some grants,
Hmm.
things like that. We needed a medical refrigerator because we have so much medicine that needs to be kept cold, but we didn't want it in our little. We have one of those new refrigerators, but they're small. They don't have much space. They're
Right,
counter height and or counter depth. And so we got a grant to have a separate refrigerator where we could store medicine safely that wasn't combined with our food, that could possibly get
right.
cross contaminate. So there was a grant for that. And I'm trying to think, there's been so many little things like that. One thing, my children's ultra rare disease has opened some doors with medical things because of the research.
Hmm.
People in the medical community really are interested in what's going on with them from a research standpoint. So that's opened doors for us. So it's just you need your village.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you have it.
Yeah.
Good. So let's segue back to eBay.
Okay.
One thing I ask my guests is to share some interesting, unusual, or high dollar sales. So, do you have any on your list you'd like to talk about?
I do. So my highest dollar sale to my memory here was this past Christmas. I picked up some needlework kits, some very vintage ones, like 40s, I believe. Yeah, this one was in the 40s, and it's that Bucilla. Am I saying that
Oh,
correctly?
absolutely. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
top of my list.
Yep, and I had tons of them. I went to a church sale, like a rummage sale kind of thing, and I found a box of all kinds of just craft stuff, and I picked it up. I knew that I hadn't dabbled in crafts much, but I knew it could possibly be. I think I paid $2 for the box, and it had tons of those kits in there. Most of the kits have sold from anywhere from 50 to $100 or so, but I had one that was super hard to find, like no comps on it anywhere, something similar. It was like an angel mobile for Christmas from
Uh-huh.
in the 40s. I sold it for about $700.
Fantastic. And it cost you how much?
Less than $2 because I got the whole
Ah,
box of crafts for $2. So
oh,
pennies really. And the best thing about it, I love it when a sale comes together for someone else. The woman reached out to me that purchased it and was so grateful to buy it for $700 because her mother and her used to do those crafts when she was little, and her mother had passed and she just really wanted to do it. And she was thrilled that I sold it to her. And then later on, she sent me pictures through the eBay messaging and just thanked me again. And it was just a great thing all the way around. That's
excellent.
probably my highest dollar sale. My husband, I know we'll talk about him some, but he's actually the shopper. I mean, I go with him to estate sales and stuff, but he loves the hunt. He's always looking for weird things, neat things, and he finds them. I miss them. He bought a box of tarot cards, excuse me,
Mhm.
um, for nothing, like $40. And it was a box full, and they were all really nice. And I learned through the process that tarot cards can be special because the art, the
Mhm.
type of card it is. Well, there was one box in there that sold for about $400 or $500. I can't quite remember, but in the $400 or $500 range. And then all the rest of the packs sold from anywhere. A few of them were like just $10 or so, but a lot of them were 40, 50. We did the math on that lot, and we made almost $2,000 on a $40 investment in buying tarot cards.
Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah.
fantastic. Good for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah. Then
Now,
maybe one other fun
did
one is, I was at a thrift shop in our area. We really are lucky in this area. We have a lot of independent thrifts. I don't go to the big names much anymore because the prices have gone up so high, and it's a lot of junk I'm finding
well,
these.
in North Carolina, I noticed that when I visited Charlotte,
Yeah.
I would always tack on a visit to a Goodwill or something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I
So
don't I
hey,
don't do it as much anymore.
I can write off the mileage if I do that,
Yeah.
right? So, but I
Exactly.
noticed that prices were significantly higher, and
Yes.
it's so weird how state to state, even states right next to each other, it can be so different.
Or within the state, we live, like I said, in the Piedmont, which is in the middle of North Carolina. In just the little county, like 3 little counties I live in, one Goodwill is like Western North Carolina Goodwill, like chapter or however they organize themselves.
Right.
The other one is a different one, and so they even have pricing differences. Like one's books are $2.99 and the other ones are $1.99. And
Yes.
yeah, and then they used to have loyalty cards, and you would have to remember, okay, do they take this loyalty card here because it was, specific to the district that Goodwill was in? And so, but one thing we have here that is Goodwill that I love is we have bins. We have the
Okay.
big bins in Winston-Salem, and we go there a lot, and it is an experience. If you have never been to the bins, it's something else. It can be
Well,
fantastic,
I'm going to
and it
be
can be hell.
going in Illinois because
Okay.
there is one
Huh?
that my beloved has checked out already
Uh-huh.
because he's like, oh, I
Awesome.
gotta know where all these things are so you'll feel comfortable here. So
Aw.
um yeah, and it's about 20 minutes from where I'm gonna be living. So, and I'll have someone to go with me because that's always been my thing is like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hear they can be kind of brutal.
It
I don't
can
know.
be.
And
It
I don't
like I
want to
said,
be a
it's a whole
scaredy cat, but
experience.
like it would be great to have someone go with me.
Yeah, and usually my husband and I go together because again, he's the shopper. Um, he'll find things and then he'll run over to me and be like, "Look this up, check this out, check the comps on this one." And so I kind of am the administrative assistant when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, the bins are great. You can go and find absolutely nothing one day, and then you can go and find unbelievable finds other times. I mean, we found a lot of jackets and coats. We do well with jackets and coats.
Mhm.
And he will find just like leather motorcycle jackets that can be worth a couple $100 at the bins, and you pay by the pound, so it's a really good deal. And people
Well,
say, well,
and one thing about the bins that I've learned, and I think this is correct to my knowledge, it's all the stuff from the other stores that didn't sell. So
yes,
it could have been those really nice jackets were priced at $40,
Yep.
and then they never got purchased even on half price day, and then Goodwill just packs them up and sends them to the outlets, and that's why you can find such
Find good
great things
things.
for so cheap,
Yeah.
because they were overpriced in the regular stores.
And I've also heard that when they get overrun with donations and they don't even have time to sort it and put it out, they'll just grab some of it and ship it to the outlet. So some of it's not even been sorted through.
I believe that. Like, it's
Yep.
never been touched, looked at, evaluated. It just, I've seen those intake rooms, like when you
Yeah.
drop off stuff, and it's just, how are they ever going to get through all this? So that makes perfect sense.
And then in the same breath, you can find something like that that's wonderful, worth, some money, a real find, and then you can look in the next little bin. And my worst find, quote unquote, I didn't buy it, was a coffee maker with the grounds still inside of it. Yeah, a lot of people wear gloves at the bins because you can get some gross stuff. I don't know
Yes.
how that makes it in there, but it's a hunt, and we found some really cool things.
Do
So
you,
it's
can you think of anything offhand that you found at the bins that sold?
um I found a Eileen, the book lady. She also likes to sell tablecloths. I don't know if she's
Yes,
ever
she
discussed that with
does.
you. She was actually with me one time here, and we went to the bins, and she found some tablecloths, and then this past year, I was there alone and I found a slew of 1950s Christmas tablecloths. And I
Hmm.
was sending her pictures, and I bought them and I sold them for a good profit. And, when you see things like that, it makes you wonder, okay, did someone's grandma die and they were cleaning out the house, and grandma liked tablecloths and they all just got donated in a chunk together, and that's how they ended up in the bins together,
Hmm.
always find that interesting how things flock together, so to speak. Yeah, we've found a lot. I found some cashmere sweaters in perfect condition. Um, the clothes seem to be a really good thing. A lot of people go for the clothes there because it is pay by the pound. Uh,
Hmm.
books, I found some good books, but sometimes the books can be in rough shape because they literally just throw this stuff in those bins and they can get damaged.
Yeah, they're manhandled, that's for
Oh,
sure.
yes. Yes.
So, what is your price per pound, and does that vary across the country?
It varies. I'm trying to remember. I think it's $1.49 a pound. So if
That's
you go in there
great.
and buy some cashmere sweaters and things, you're not paying very much. You go in there and you buy a motorcycle jacket that's leather, you're going to pay a little more because it's a heavier material.
Right.
Books and toys are priced differently than the clothes, maybe around 99 cents a pound here. But I do believe those prices vary again based on what Goodwill district, you're shopping in. They set those
So,
prices.
when you're checking out, do you have to separate your items if there's different price per pound?
Yes, they like you to separate your clothes. They have these at my bins anyway. They have these big tubs. You throw all your clothes and pocketbooks and things, shoes, that stuff counts as clothes. You throw all that in the bin, and they will weigh that and subtract out the weight of the container. And then they want you to put your books and other things up on the conveyor belt, and they price
Okay.
those, weigh
Okay.
those separately. Yeah,
So, how does that work with your caregiving? Are you able
yeah.
to go with your husband? Do you get someone to come sit with your girls, or?
So at this point, like I said, it's been 7 years now. They're able to be alone
Okay.
unless it's a bad day or we're in a flare or they've been, they're really sick or hospitalized or had a surgery or something like that. So we are really loving the fact that now that they're getting older, more independent. If you would have told me 7 years ago when she got sick, I would be out shopping at the bins, I would have said you were crazy.
Hmm.
Life was just took a turn fast, and it is getting easier in that regard. So we are able to go, but it's really just depends on the moment. I will say COVID really shut us down with stuff like that. I know everybody's got different feelings on that, but we pretty much did not leave our home for a year because my kids were so medically fragile. Um,
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Acceptable. Hmm.
Excuse me, my husband had to go to work, so that was, unfortunately couldn't control that. Although he was out of work for a couple months because they shut down like March, April, May of 2020.
Hmm.
Um,
Can you
but
believe we're almost 4 years out
no,
from that?
it seems
We
like
thought,
yesterday and
I
a long time
know,
ago at the same time.
we
Yeah,
thought we were never going to get out of that space of things being closed at weird hours, all the restrictions, have to wear a
Yes.
mask, all the stuff. We were like, is this ever going to be over? And now we're
Right.
4 years out from that.
Yeah, and everything's so
Um,
different.
it is different. Yes.
So that kind of slowed down some of the sourcing. I guess our favorite thing are probably estate sales. We just have a lot of fun at those, and in some ways, those were a little easier to be COVID cautious. Because during that time, a lot of our local estate sale companies would only allow 10 people into the home at a time, required masking, things like that. So we felt a little bit safer. That may sound unusual, but in our little area, it was good. And you get to know some of those estate sale people, and they'll let you do private picks, and then you really get to be a little COVID safe. But we did the best we could during that time period. But that was when I was having to be really careful being out in public shopping and caregiving. But it has gotten a lot easier to go out and shop.
Good. Good for
Sometimes they'll
you.
come with me, actually. There's been times that we've had a doctor's appointment over by the bins, and she's with me, and she's gone in with me a time or two, and it's very overstimulating for her since she had her stroke. She can't handle a lot of lights, noise, people,
Mhm.
and the bins can be that way. But she went and found a really cool pair of Doc Martin boots one time, and she kept them for herself. She didn't resell those. She was shopping for her. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel you on that. Like, ugh, I'm over here. I'm right here. There's the bins across the street, and your car just automatically goes there.
Yes. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
good for you. Well, do you want to talk about some more sales?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I think I started talking about local thrift shops,
Yes.
and there are some really cool small independent thrift shops around here. We have one in town that supports an alcoholic ministry, a rehab ministry, and they have unbelievable prices, Suzanne. I'm talking 25 cents. Um, 20 pieces of clothing for $10. And good clothes. But they're in an area near High Point University, if you're familiar with that, and they get a
Yes.
lot of donations from students. So if you go over there in May or June when the students leave and leave all that stuff behind, it gets sent to West End Ministries, the thrift shop I'm talking about. So I was in there one day, and there were some playing cards, and I had sold these playing cards before. I find playing cards a lot at estate sales, vintage ones. These aren't vintage, but they are from casinos, and they are called, I think it's red and blue watermelon. You see those, look out for those. Um, they're BEE is the brand, B casino cards, but
Hmm.
the color pattern is called red watermelon and blue watermelon. And they sell so fast. Well, I went in there and there were about 90 packs sealed. The only thing I can guess is someone had like a charity poker night or something, and these were left over and donated. And they were 49 cents a pack. So I called my husband, he was at work, and I said, should I buy a few? I might buy half. He goes, buy them all. You do the math, 90 packs, that's $45, right? At 49 cents a pound or 49 cents a pack. So I bought them all, and we played around with them. We did individuals. We did lots of 3, 4. I think we did a, a big lot, like 20. And they sold almost immediately. In fact, I had someone reach out to me and say, how many do you have? And so I told them what I had left, and I created, because I'm always legal with eBay, I never skirt the rules. I created a new listing with the amount they wanted, put it up, and someone beat them to it.
Oh
So
my
I
gosh.
learned a lesson on that. If you do that, you might want to put some sort of dummy word in the title.
Right.
Yeah, so that someone doesn't, and I mean, the guy understood,
Or
but
just
that's
put,
how.
private listing for whatever,
Right. That was my first
XYZ.
first time
And
something like
then,
that had happened.
even put a dummy picture,
Yes.
because even
Yeah.
if people are just scrolling through, they may see the picture
Yep.
and buy it. So you could just put, you know,
That is exactly what happened.
some
I
just an
learned a
X or
lesson as a
something like
seller.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And thankfully the person was very understanding. And so, yeah, we made way more. I mean, I wish I could tell you, but I probably made $1,000 on that lot.
Now,
I
were
know,
you the one that posted that in the group and
I think I
said
did. Yeah, on one
you
of your money
saw
making
my
Mondays.
class about playing cards?
Yes, yes, I think so. I've had really good luck with playing cards. I know some people don't. I think the key for me is to find them in good condition and them to
Hmm.
be, not just basic playing cards you can buy at Walmart today, right? Like they need to be something special. Airline playing cards from way back when do pretty well too,
Yes,
especially if you can lock
anything
them on.
airline, really.
Yeah.
Megan, who was on episode 147, also in North Carolina.
Found all the Piedmont Airline
Yes,
stuff.
I was getting ready to say that. Piedmont Airlines stuff is hot if you see it.
Yes, that's
Back when they would give
interesting.
it like even ashtrays,
Uh-huh.
little ashtrays they give you, smoking on the plane. That's just still blows me away that you could do that.
Yes, yes. Okay, so you and your husband source together sometimes. Who's in charge of the shipping?
So this is how it works. He is in charge of the shipping. I do the post office runs, but we have a very specific system, Suzanne. So we shop together, but he's the big shopper. But I find things too.
Hmm.
While we're shopping, he's running over to me, look this up, look this up. So that's kind of how the shopping part works. Um, we have a new love it shelving system out in our garage, and our garage is kind of where how we have it here. It's very temperature controlled. I don't put everything out there because some things don't need to be, but we bought a shelving system with these bins that are airtight, and that is his territory. He organizes that. He has come up with a labeling system. He's like G1, G2, G3. I think that's for garage 1, 2, and 3. I'm not even
Oh,
real.
okay.
But I mean, he has his own little system. And but I do the pictures, I take the photos, I do the listing, I do all the typing, listing, research if it needs to be done. Again, I'm an editor and writer by trade, right? So I do all that. And then when I go to do the listing, I don't know what people call it. We call it dummy boxing. As I'm doing that, he takes the thing and finds the box it's going to go in and weighs it and gives me all that information to put into my listing. But it doesn't stay in the box, it's just
Right.
dummy box, quote unquote. And he takes it out to the garage or in the dining room in some cases. And our dining room is now no longer a dining room. And he stores it where it goes. And then when something sells, he comes home and he finds it in his little system and he boxes it up for me. And I print the label and take it to the post office the next day. So I call him my shipping and receiving department.
That's what he is. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
it works because I know a lot of people hate that part of the whole thing. And
Mhm.
I love that he does that for me. And I don't have to fool with it. Now, do I wish he knew how to do photos and listings? Absolutely. But I don't mind. That's my role. And it truly is, both of us are our business. And the goal for him is in about 10 years, he would really like to be retired, completely
Mhm.
retired. But this to be like I mean, who knows? Will eBay be here in 10 years? I really hope so. But whatever the next thing is, we really hope to take this into our quote unquote golden years, whatever.
Mhm.
We're not quite golden yet, but we're getting
Right,
there.
right. You got a ways
Um,
to go. But
yeah,
I
and that
feel,
can be some money.
reselling has been there forever.
Yeah,
It's not going to go away. The
may look
sites might
different.
change.
Yeah,
Personally, I don't think eBay is going to go anywhere.
been here all these years, hadn't
Established.
it?
Yeah, they have millions of customers. Whether or not you love the way they do things is,
Right.
any
That'll probably always
situation.
be in flux, right? It'll be
Yeah, you
changing.
have to adapt. Even if you're in corporate America, you've got to adapt to the way they do things. So,
Yeah.
I
That's
just
our
don't
goal
think,
though.
yeah, I just don't think eBay is going to go anywhere. Why would it?
Yeah. Yeah. People
And
always
even the
shop.
laws change, the what you can sell changes a little bit. And then we've got that whole IRS $600 threshold, which eBay is actively fighting um, because they don't want their sellers to have to pay taxes on stuff that may not need to be taxed. And for the
Right.
listeners, you can go to eBay Main Street and read about all that. That's why it keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah.
Um, year after year is it's just really not fair,
Yeah.
if
I
you're.
got 1099 K'd or whatever it is this year because I
Mhm.
made too much money this year, whatever their little cutoff is. So they had to send me one. So Yeah, but I see why they're doing that and why people don't like it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. So we'll just hang in there every year and hopefully maybe it'll never happen. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
We
that's
shall
the
see.
IRS. The IRS wants to get all in your business. And,
Absolutely.
but if you're selling stuff that you inherited from your parents that's in a storage unit,
Right.
like, why should you be taxed on that?
Exactly, I agree. And I will say, in that regard, it's taken me a while, but I have grown and I have learned a record keeping system. Like you were talking about mileage, throw
Hmm.
some a trip and throw some business in there, and you can use that. And I have really, really, really tried to keep good records, keep all receipts. When I go to an estate sale or something, if they don't give me a receipt, I come home right away. I write down my mileage. I write myself a receipt. I've never been audited or anything, so I can't say that all that would be held up perfectly, but I try. And I learned as I went. I wasn't that good at the beginning, but I feel like every year I'm making big girl strides
Hmm.
towards
Well,
all
good
that
for
stuff,
you.
you know?
Yeah, it's great to be organized. And back to the auditing, this is my opinion. I don't think the IRS is going to go after the little fish. They're going after
Right.
the big fish, where their time and investment in employees, work, and everything is going to be more fruitful than us little eBay sellers. Now, I'll probably get some comments that I was audited, but that's just my feeling of the IRS doesn't want to put you in jail. They want your money,
Yeah,
you
that's the
know,
big. Yeah, yep.
and they're going to go
Pay up
after
and they'll be
who,
happy.
they're going to go after the big fish that has the most money because it's worth their time to do that. So, I mean, I do everything right. I pay my taxes,
Right.
all
Yeah.
that, but I used to be terrified of being audited, and then step back and look at the big picture. Who gets audited? Oh, I don't know. Willie Nelson has millions of dollars he owes, and people like that.
Right, right. Not a small time eBay
and
sellers,
and we're just
hopefully.
we're just trying to make a living in a different way.
Mm,
Not being on our own, not working for the man.
yeah.
And I think we should get more tax credits than we do because we're taking care of ourselves.
I was going to say we're paying in what is it, the tax that the employer usually kicks in half. I can't remember which federal part of your federal taxes you pay.
Right.
When I was a freelancer or with my freelancing work, I have to pay all that myself, so
Hmm.
it is different and, you're working for yourself. And
Yeah.
it would be nice if there was some better ways to do that.
Well,
Absolutely.
maybe that'll happen for us. I keep being hopeful. I always
Exactly.
try to find, like, how can I work this business to the maximum, and
Yeah,
it's
maximize your profit.
you get your home business square footage right off, you get mileage, always working it in everywhere you go, all the extras
Yeah.
that you can write off. So for the listeners, if you're not doing that, it is worth talking with a CPA to make sure you're maximizing your deductions, because self-employed, you want to keep as much of your money as you can,
Yes.
and you want to avoid paying as many taxes as you can legally by the
Right.
letter of the law, but you look poor sometimes.
Oh, yes. Listen, when I got that 1099K from eBay and it had this number on it, I was like, wow. And then I started deducting the shipping labels that eBay also tells you, your report, how much you spent. And then I start looking at that system my husband put in the garage because we did that this past tax year in 2023. And I start just looking at all the things. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't make as much money as I thought I did.
Oh, right. Yeah. That
Yeah.
1099K is very deceiving.
Yes, yes.
So,
But I will
yeah.
say every year it's going up. So
Hmm.
my expenses are probably going up a little bit too. But every year I've made more money than I made the last year. And
Excellent.
that
Very
that
good.
has felt good. So I'm hoping in 10 years from now, when he really wants to step back from his real job, quote unquote, and us do this together, that we'll be in a good position for that.
Good. How many items do you have in your store?
Okay, so you're more from whatever you like less items, right? Like you keep your
I
quality,
like what works for you.
right. I
Oh,
think I'm sitting at 668 right now.
668?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, and I sell 7, 10 items a day some days. And then you'll have a week where hardly anything sells. Then you'll have a week where a big ticket item sells. My
Mhm.
husband, again, he loves the motorcycle jackets. He's also great at finding motorcycle helmets. He hawks Facebook Marketplace for deals. I do not do that. I tell you what, I hate Facebook Marketplace again, I don't have a Facebook, it's his. I just get frustrated with Facebook Marketplace. He is great at it. And so he has found some great things. And this past week, one of his helmets sold, for several $100s, and we'd had a slow week, but that just, kind of took the place of the 7, 8 bread and butter sales or whatever you want to call it
Right.
on an average day. Yeah. But I will say I've seen a lot of my trends changing. I know Eileen, the book lady, sells a ton of books, and I started with a lot of books, but I don't sell a lot of books much anymore. I have some, but they're just not moving as much, but I don't think I have the right books anymore. I need to really study that up again because trends always change. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
One thing we've been playing around, and I actually asked a question in your eBay group on Facebook. We've kind of started selling parts of things. This is a crazy example, but there's this thing called the flex belt. It's this, you put it on your abs and you turn it on, and it kind of like shocks your abs, and it's supposed to give you a six pack, right? We Yeah, right? We bought one of those and we went to list it, and as I was, doing my research, I realized I could part this thing out and make quadruple my money than just selling.
Mhm.
So that's what we did. And we've done that with some other things. My husband picks up remote controls at estate sales and things, and he's made some good money doing that. So we've kind of started dabbling in more of that, and that's been good. And I don't know. People ask me, what do you sell? And I'm like, anything, everything.
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I have
Well,
noticed the trends for me have changed a little bit. So I'm adjusting my shopping, my sourcing accordingly.
okay. Well, going back to what you said, you're almost hesitant to say how many items because you're comparing yourself to me, and just don't do that because everybody's situation is different. And I'm about to change big time because I'm going to be in a place where I have unlimited space to store things.
Right. That
It's
that
all
makes a
going to be
difference. Now
on,
I have this garage system.
yeah, it's all going to be on one level. No more carrying stuff up and down the stairs, which was a big thing for me.
Yes.
When you're on the third floor, you no elevator, you got to carry it up and down.
Yes.
Um, it's a pain. Um, I'll be I'll be exposed to different types of items that I've never seen
Right.
before.
Okay.
I'll be in a different part of the country. I'm going to have somebody who's going to do this with me. So it's all
You're
about
gonna have a
change.
Chad. You're gonna have one like me that
Yes,
jumps in
yeah.
there
Well,
with
he
you.
has
Yeah.
his farm stuff that he does. He's like me, multiple businesses going on, but he's very interested in the reselling, and he
Awesome.
knows different things. And so, like, we could go to a farm sale and he's going to know things to pick, not
Yeah.
huge equipment, but, all the farmhouse kind of stuff. And he's in an area where there's well-known pottery that I've never even heard of, and just all this kind of stuff that is going to be different. And I'm very excited about it. Maybe you can hear it in my voice.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I
like,
do. And let me
I
tell
am,
you,
I feel like I've been in a rut for the past few years. I've been trying to do new things and find different kinds of items and going to estate sales, and um, it just hasn't clicked. And so I feel like this is the big catalyst where I'm going to see all these different things, and it's going to like revitalize my business. And I think we do get bored and burned out doing the same stuff over and over again. Like, you
right,
need to change, you need to push yourself into a different space. That's where the growth happens, when you do different things. But it's like I've been trying to find different things and I'm not finding them. So
right.
we'll see how that goes.
I will encourage you, and from listening to your story about how y'all met and your love story, I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun together. And
Yes.
Chad and I have so much fun 80% of the time. There's sometimes we don't, where he's wanting to buy something and I'm not thinking it's a good idea. But most of the time we go to an estate sale and we have a ball and we have fun together. And we've been together for 30 years. We were high school sweethearts. I mean,
Oh,
I will say that, and most people that know us will tell you, and I'm getting a little teary talking about it, like we are a true love story. We are soulmates, and so this is just one more thing we do together. We like being together, you know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
whatever that means, if it means a Saturday estate sale and we grab some breakfast beforehand or lunch after and come home and piddle around with it, putting it away and looking up comps or whatever, like that's fun for us.
Hmm.
So
Yes. I
I
feel
enjoy
that
doing it together. Yeah.
we are like, we can't wait to start having new experiences together. And my last relationship was, it ended as a disaster. So this
You
is good.
deserve this.
This is like the great third relationship where, you really connect with somebody, and we just
And
have,
you guys were kind of high school sweethearts too, right? If I'm
well,
remembering the story correctly, or you
we
knew each other.
it was during high school, and we went to the same gymnastics gym, and that's how we met. So we didn't go to the same school,
Mhm.
but we were teenage sweethearts. And so
Yeah.
we're both still very athletic, very health conscious, and we eat clean, and like all these things that we've wanted from another person all our lives. It's like we're finally getting that. So
I
and
love that for
just,
you. And I think you deserve all the good things.
yeah, I just can't wait to dive into this business in a new way.
Yeah.
So even after, this is my 21st year on eBay, and it keeps changing all the time. So this is the next big thing, and I'll definitely be documenting all of this on my podcast and YouTube and stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of envious of those people that have the bins all the time, and they're really great, or they have all these different ways of getting inventory that I haven't had before. I can learn from them.
Yeah. I one thing I joke with Eileen about all the time is she has some great book sales in her area. She has
Yes, she
access to books.
does.
There's not that many here. We have some, and actually, there's a book sale tonight, our local library, and the prices are like 50 cents for a paperback and a dollar for a hardback, and you do get some really good things. So, we have some, but it's just not like her. So again, maybe I'm just sourcing the wrong books, you know. Um, but going back to the parts thing, you might have an answer to this question for me. I think this is what I posted in the group. Branching out into parts, little pieces of things like that flex belt or remote controls, I am fearful that I'm going to sell something and someone's going to want to do a return and send me back their broken part. I've heard some tales about that. And I think it's just a risk maybe you take in that niche.
Well, I think that can happen with any item. It
Mhm.
happens with handbags. Happened to me with clothing. Like, this is not the Johnny Was top I sent you. This one is faded and has loose threads, and she totally switched it out.
Ugh,
It can happen with anything.
yeah,
So
it's
I
a
guess you
risk,
just
I
have to
guess.
go into it with a positive attitude, that you're going to get the right customers that want and appreciate the item. And, if it happens too much, then
And you back off. Yeah,
you
that's kind of
decide,
hard.
this is not for me. I'm not willing to take this risk anymore. I shied away from electronics a lot because that happened to me a few times in the early days. And I'm ready to revisit that,
Yeah,
and see what I can do with electronics, because I see I'm going to have more storage space, and I
right.
see these VCRs and those TVs with the VCR in it, how much those sell for, and I see them all the time, and I don't pick them up because it's just a royal pain to schlep them up the stairs.
And shipping, that's what always I think about is like, that's gonna require a big box, it's gonna be heavy, and, I can't offer big shipping discounts, and I know there's
Mhm.
a whole lot of schools of thought of, do you raise the price and do free shipping? But there are some things you cannot do that with, or you will lose money, and I don't
Absolutely.
have a hookup where I know someone who gets X amount of free shipping through their business, and I can, have them ship some of my package because I know some people do that, or they, have a way that they can always do free shipping, and they don't have the shipping cost because it's through their other business or whatever. I don't have that luxury, so I'm always conscious about that. But Chad has found some good electronics. He got one of those DVD VCR combos
Mhm.
recently. I think the thing sold for like $200. It was a really good brand. It
Mhm.
worked. We try to always check everything thoroughly because I hate dealing with returns. I think that's why I'm a little hesitant about the parts. Returns just make me anxious, and I don't know why. That's silly, but they
Well,
do.
I think you just have to do enough of them to see, okay, return it. I want that customer to be happy and leave a positive feedback
Right.
and stand by my return policy. And if one person bought it, it'll sell again. It may be a long time, but it usually sells again.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you just have to reprogram yourself, because I used to be like that. Every time I got a return request, my heart rate went up and I'm like, oh,
Me
great.
too, and I think, "What did I do wrong?" And really, there's nothing I did wrong. It's just
No.
such a perfectionist and people pleaser that I don't like it when someone's not pleased, and so I kinda take it personal, like, "What did I do wrong?" And a lot of times it's nothing I did
Well,
wrong.
and
Most
there's
of the
like,
time I have made some mistakes. I mean, that happens to the best of us.
yes, yes, but there's, 5 hoops they have to jump through. They have to actually return it, which is
Yeah,
the
and
big
that's what I'm
hurdle.
learning is so many of them never return.
Yeah. And then when you get it back, you have 2 or 3 business days to do the refund. So you're okay there, and then just list it again and may sell for more. Um, there's the odd nightmares here and there of they do the switcheroo and or send something back broken or whatever. And um, that's just occupational hazard.
It's part of it,
It's what
yeah.
we have to deal with, but I'm good. I get to work at home. I can wear what I want. I don't have a
Yes.
boss to answer to and telling me what to do all the time. And
Well, and with my caregiving, I can plan my entire business around the multitude of doctor's appointments.
right.
There are some weeks, Suzanne, we might have 10 appointments between everyone, whether it's doctors or it's PT or it's, something like that requires and I could not work a traditional job. There's just no way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've tried it a few times over the years and it's just, I'm not cut out for that.
Well, and I was gonna say, it's not for me. Like, I'm just not a
Right.
cubicle 9 to 5 girl. It's not the way God made me.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Well, we are getting to the end here. Did you want to answer one of the questions at the end?
Sure. You asked me a podcast.
Sure.
So, my favorite podcast these days, I have several, but my most favorite is called We Can Do Hard Things. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yes.
Yep, it's Glennon Doyle and Abby Wambach, and it focuses a lot on women, just kind of struggles with. I mean, it's applicable to anybody if you listen to it, but it's a lot about how things women go through and anxiety and some mental health stuff. And I just always find it like really uplifting. And I usually am listening and I'm going, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I see that. So I listen to that. That's probably my most listened to podcast.
That's wonderful. Anything empowering, no matter
Yes.
what gender you are.
Mhm.
That's what you put on when you're having a day where you're just ugh, nothing's going right. It's just part of the process. You're going to have days like that. Um, but yeah, yeah, anything like that is empowering and helps boost your spirit. Because sometimes we just don't have people like that in our lives. You've got to
Yeah.
reach out to something in the ethers to find
Yes, and that this
encouragement.
serves that purpose, absolutely.
Yeah, encouragement and motivation to keep going, because after this hour talking with you're like Wonder Woman. You got it all going on. You're taking care of everybody. You're doing your home business.
Yeah.
And I bet every
Well, you know
day
what
you're
though? I tell
exhausted.
people, I get a lot of people say, "I don't know how you do what you do," or "I couldn't do it." Yes, you can. You could. Life hit comes to you sometimes, and you either roll with it or you get rolled over, right? And so you just kind of adapt, and everybody has their thing, their struggles, and I tell people I don't play the struggle Olympics. My thing's worse than your thing because when whatever that thing is, a relationship that came to an end, or divorce or your child getting sick or you getting sick, it's happening to you. So it doesn't matter if someone else had it worse, right? So you
Mhm.
just go with it. And that's
Well,
what
and
I've
if
learned to do.
this is for the listeners too. If you look back at things you've had to handle, deal with, get through in your life, everybody's strong
Yep.
with different things. There's nobody on this planet, especially if you're, you know, in your 50s, that hasn't had some kind of major thing to deal with.
Right.
It hits everybody.
Mhm.
Nobody has, they may look like a duck on top of the water, just calmly swimming along, but underneath they're just paddling like hell to get through
Exactly.
whatever
That's a
it
great
is. And
analogy.
they just are, maybe they're not sharing their struggle with you because they're embarrassed, or they don't want to impose on people, dumping their problems. That's me. I don't dump my problems on other people. And then I
Right.
find out later, "Oh, I wish you had told me. I could have helped you. I want to help you."
Right.
So
I've always been kind of an open book, and sometimes people give me a hard time about like you share too much. The reason I've been an open book is like living with kids with rare disease. It's like an advocacy thing. I'm always trying to educate because I never know who else is going to be in that boat. So I think we all just deal with things the way we can or how we have to in the moment, and you just deal with that.
and some people's struggles are more visible than others. So,
Right.
like yours is very
Uh,
visible. You've got your daughters, they are daughters, right?
I have 2 girls and a boy.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
You've got your grown children that people
All live at
see you,
home right now, but
and
we're working on
people
that.
see you putting them in the van and taking them to doctor's appointments. They see your struggle. Other struggles are easier to hide.
Right.
So everybody has them. And I just want to commend you on how you're handling everything. And so great that you found your way to eBay, because it is a break from all the heavy, serious stuff you have to deal with as a caregiver. It's kind of a little something fun to do on the
It
side. And
is fun, and that's nice that you point that out because sometimes I forget that. It really is a distraction, a hobby, but it's a hobby that makes me money, so it's not,
yeah,
it has a lot of
absolutely.
benefits, yeah.
Well, thank you again for agreeing to come on and share your life. I think this will be beneficial to a lot of listeners who are in the same situation, especially as a caregiver, that you can do this. You just have to make up your mind and do it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, we will see you on the group.
On to today's trivia question. And this isn't actually a trivia question, but more of a how to question. Lindsay handles her caregiving situation very well. And my sister just went through this, and my Midwestern man was his wife's full time caregiver for almost 5 years until she passed away. Caregiving is incredibly stressful. What is the best thing you can do to help a caregiver? Here's a few seconds to think about it. Okay, in my limited experience as a support person for a caregiver, I observe that people often say, "What can I do to help?" And their intentions really are good. And frankly, many people just don't know what to do. They don't know how to help. They just want to be supportive. So, if that's you and you have a friend or family member that is a stressed out caregiver, try offering a specific thing like, "Hey, can I bring you dinner on Tuesday night?" Or, "I'd be happy to walk your dog in the afternoons." Or, "Do you need some company? I would love to come sit and visit or just listen if you need a shoulder to cry on." Or, "I can cut your grass once a week if that would help you out." Or, "I am glad to sit with their person 2 times a week," or whatever you can offer, so you can go to the gym or go to a yoga class. Help them get out of the house. Try to identify something the caregiver needs but isn't asking for that you can easily provide. And they will be very grateful, and you'll be doing something wonderful to help somebody who really needs it. Okay, just some food for thought on that. Next week, my guest is Janessa, an eBay veteran who has come and gone from eBay over 2 decades and has some valuable wisdom to share. And thank you, listeners, for spending the last hour with us. And I hope you have a fantastic week on eBay. Bye for now.